Gunstar Heroes. Is it good? Yeah. Gunstar Heroes is a run and gun side-scrolling game. From the start you're given two options of how you want to play. You can run and gun, which makes shooting and dodging very easy, but lacks precision, or you can play where you can't move while you're shooting, which makes dodging hard, but increases your precision. I opted for run and gun as the less damage I take, the better. You're also introduced to different weapon types in the game. There's so many, each with their own benefits, from lightning weapons that go through enemies and hit other enemies, to fire types, to weapons that lock on. All of these can be mixed together to make your favourite combo. My favourite was lightning mixed with lock on, as the lightning would lock on to enemies while I dodged the incoming attacks. But don't get too comfortable with your build, because if you die, your weapon build is reset, and you have to rebuild it through pickups that enemies drop. You've got a life meter. You can increase your health via power-ups that are sometimes dropped by enemies. This means that if you're able to dodge enough, you can give yourself a nice cushion as your health will always go up. There's not just shooting in this game, you can throw enemies and objects. You can also forward dive, which will damage enemies. You can hang off stuff and climb up obstacles. You can also shoot while hanging off stuff. All the mechanics in this game feel great and it's really fun. There's 7 different levels, each with a boss battle. One thing that makes this game quite easy is that if you die during a boss battle, you'll respawn at the boss battle, unless you're at the Dice Palace. The Dice Palace, in my opinion, is the best level in the game, but I could see people getting frustrated with this level. The level is designed as a board game. You roll the dice and you must take on whatever the square you land on says. Most are boss battles, and there's so many boss battles in the Dice Palace. They're all so unique, all with their own different move sets, and they were so much fun to play. Some of the squares in the Dice Palace are also timed events where you must get from one place to another in a certain amount of time, and there's also power-up rooms which contain weapons and health. I loved all the squares on this board, apart from one. There's a square right at the end just before the final boss that if you land on it, you go all the way to the start. And this happened to me twice. I started to think that it was rigged, that there was no way I could get through it. While I said earlier that I preferred the lock-on weapon, I would often be dodging the enemy's attacks and then look at where I'm hitting the enemy and find that I was hitting a part of an enemy that wasn't actually doing any damage. This was frustrating as it didn't seem to be a feature of the game. The graphics were great. I think it still looks great today. The screen was often full of enemies and projectiles, and I thought it was impressive how good this game makes you feel at avoiding everything that's on the screen. Only a couple of times did I see instances of slowdown, but I don't know if this was the fault of the game or the Nintendo Switch online emulation. I often ask myself in these reviews, does this game have replayability? I would say 100% yes. Once my playthrough ended, I started again. I played on normal, but if you find this too easy, there's 2 high difficulties for you to try and beat. Finally, the soundtrack was fine, just it wasn't very notable. That was Gunstar Heroes, and I give it an 8 out of 10.